Blog Talk Radio.
You are now listening to the most talked about blog talk radio station in the universe. Walking His Ways, Impact Voice Radio. Be prepared to have your mind stimulated, your spirit elevated in ways you couldn't even imagine. Introducing your host and the mastermind behind this unforgettable experience, Furman Jackson Jr. You will not be disappointed. Let's go!
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Walking His Ways, Impact Voice. I'm your host, Furman Jackson Jr. Come to you again live from my hometown, my city, my home of the city of Mobile, Alabama. Hope everybody's having a great Friday evening, of course. Hope everybody has a great day, a productive day, a day of rest, a day of work, a day of just doing whatever you got to do to master the things of life. I'm very excited about this evening's topic. I have a special guest that's expert in the field of mental health. And she's going to bring her experience, her knowledge on the capacity of mental health, things that we really don't talk about a lot when it comes to mental health, mental illness, things of that nature. And I'm glad that she took time out of her busy schedule to to break it down, to explain to us about mental health. Because everybody has someone, either their family or friends or themselves, who may experience dealing with mental health, and it's all around us. You can't deny, you can't turn a blind eye to it, but it's always going on. And I'm glad that she's here this evening to explain to us about mental health. And I hope everybody's tuning in, take a listen to, learn something from it, and also look at mental health at a whole different perspective. So I'm about to put my guest in this evening. Now I want to tell my guest, welcome to Walking His Ways, Impact Voice.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for having me.
And I appreciate you taking time out your busy schedule to talk about this condition that's been going on for quite some time now. And we talk about cancer, we talk about all other types of diseases, but we never really talk about mental health. We never have much awareness about mental health. And like I said, I work within the jail system here in Mobile, and we have a lot of inmates who suffer from mental illness, and the proper precautions, certain precautions you have to take with them because of their state of being. So we're about to kick this interview off, and I hope I say your name right. It's how you pronounce your name again?
It's Afiya K.
Afiya. Cool.
Yep.
Afiya K. So my first question is, when we get started in this interview, who is Afiya K?
Well, Afiya K wears a lot of different hats, but primarily I'm a business owner. I have my own private practice for mental health. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, a mental health and family counselor, a mentor, and a business consultant.
So you as a woman of all trades, and that's a good thing, being productive in every area. So that's always a good thing. And I know that's my second question is, when it comes to mental illness, and I know you're skilled in that area, you have over 12 years experience in the mental health field, and someone who may not know how to deal with someone that has mental illness, what do we say to someone who is mentally ill?
Okay. So honestly, there's no set list of things that you should say to someone who has a mental health diagnosis. I wish that it was that easy, but it's not really. So it really just depends on what their presenting issue is in that moment. So an example of that would be my approach for someone who might be diagnosed with, let's say, major depressive disorder or generalized anxiety disorder would be completely different from my approach with someone who has schizoaffective disorder or borderline personality disorder. It's just, whatever issues they are dealing with when they present to you. But what you do want to make sure of is that you just have open, honest, and clear communication regardless of what the topic of conversation is.
Okay, then, and I know, having the cause of dealing with someone with mental illness, I know, um, with different ways and different methods that people may interact with them. I know some may have talked to like a child where they understand, and some function and some just be all over the place. I know that we don't, like I said, a lot of people don't know what the deal with it is. So like I said, we have people that they be incarcerated deal with that at all times, and I think their families don't know how to deal with it. They just feel like, I just go ahead and send them to jail and just let them stay there, but not having a proper precautions for them. And
right.
we see that all the time downtown. And my next question is, what should you not say to a mentally ill person?
Well, that one is a little easier to answer. Like you said, when working with them, most people don't know what to say, so it just depends on what they are dealing with in the moment. But when you think about what you shouldn't say, it's a long list of things that you shouldn't say. So one of the things is, of course, you don't want to call someone with a mental health diagnosis crazy. Just because someone is dealing with mental illness or they're having some mental health issues does not mean that they are what we deem in general society as crazy. You also don't want to call them overly emotional or tell them that they are weak because they are dealing with these mental illnesses. I would also advise not to share how you completely understand how they feel because of what you might have been through or what someone might have been through, because everyone's diagnosis looks different. Some other things that we tend to say to people who are dealing with mental health issues is like, oh, you'll get through this, you're stronger than this, it'll all be okay, just keep your head up. And the biggest one that I tend to get a lot of pushback about is when people say, oh, just pray about it. Kind of like what you said before, people always focus on physical health. And if they have cancer or diabetes or even, like a cold or flu, we're not going to those people and saying, oh, just pray about it and you'll get over it. We, have medical professionals who are here to assist us when we have those physical ailments. And my goal is to make sure that people treat mental health in the same way that they treat their physical health. So saying, oh, just pray about it, you'll be okay, is not something you want to say. I tend to get very passionate about that conversation because I really want the faith-based community and the mental health community to be allies, to work together. And that's not always what I tend to see from my faith-based community, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I do understand where you're coming from when you say that, because it's important, especially within our community, within the black community, want to say, not limited just to the black community, but like I said, we don't really talk more about this. So we talk about domestic violence, we talk about like the cancer, we talk about all these different things, but we never really have enough awareness to the mental health aspect. And my question is, why is we're not really more geared towards understanding mental health and the illness that our loved ones or we may suffer, but we never have any things in place where we can actually sit down and address it?
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of reasons for that. Like you said, in the black culture, for sure, it's seen as a weakness. If you have even just slight depressive symptoms, which I truly believe most people in the world have some type of depressive. I mean, a depressive symptom is feeling sad or crying or having a lack of appetite. I'm sure you've experienced that. I've experienced it. So I truly believe that everybody deals with their own mental health in different type of ways, and it's just the stigma associated with it. In the black culture, it makes you look weak because we've had to be so strong for so long, and you don't want people to look at you like you are less than, that you can't control yourself, that you're weak. I mean, in the faith-based community, it's more spiritual. it's, oh, you can pray about it. All you need is God. And I'm not saying that you should not pray or that you don't need God. I'm just saying in the same way that you take that Motrin or that Tylenol, or you go to the doctor and get a shot when you feel bad. That is what you should do with your mental health. That's why they have licensed professionals like myself to help guide you towards healing in the sense of that. But it's just really a big stigma. I think that it has a lot to do with different cultures, religion, and even being in the South. The South is not as big on mental health because we have such a religious background. So.
Yeah, and I do agree with what you're saying because we have a lot of that. Matter of fact, like I said, I know a lot of guys who's incarcerated. They know the Bible from front to back, and they still suffer with these they still have mental illness, and they do know the Bible because they can break it down to me just like that
Right.
and don't miss a beat on it. And then my next question is, and it's kind of like a tricky question. How do you talk to a mentally unstable person?
Okay. So someone who is mentally unstable would mean that they are not currently getting treatment or they would be in crisis. So for someone who is in crisis, it would be extremely important to actively listen, to empathize with them, and to make sure that they are just safe, like they're in a safe space with you, sharing whatever they need to share. Actively listen is the most important because a lot of times if we have family members or friends who are dealing with mental illness, we think that we can just talk to them regular in a sense of, oh, I'll give them some positive affirmations and they'll be okay. But most of the time these people just really need to let out whatever they're trying to let out. If they're having a crisis, that means that something has gotten to them that they're not able to process on their own. So rather than, just giving those positive affirmations that don't really work unless you put some action behind it, you would instead affirm them. You affirm them that you are there for them. So that might be you saying, I don't necessarily understand exactly what you're feeling. I might not understand exactly what you're going through, but I'm here for you. I care about you. I want the best for you. I'm not going to leave you. Let's get you some help. It's really having someone to be there for them in that moment instead of trying to put it back on that mentally unstable person and saying, hey, you can handle this by yourself. No, you walk, side by side with them and help them until they get the help that they need professionally. And then if things, of course, escalate too quickly or too much, you want to make sure that you call 911 or reach out to a crisis line or something of that sort.
And there's some good information you're sharing with us here on Impact Voice. Very important stuff, and I'm glad you bringing this up. Enlightening us, the viewers, those who's listening, when it comes to this area of this condition, or whoever may be suffering with it. Because we know a lot of people who do suffer with mental illness on a regular basis. And like I said, a lot of people don't want to deal with it. Some say we just pray about it. But like I said, we have all types of events when it comes to cancer. We will do money for that. When it comes to domestic violence, we have all these domestic violence rallies and things of that nature. But we never have these type of stuff when it concerns this condition of mental illness, those who suffer with it on a regular basis. And my next question is, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to add that even when those things are in the community, it's not something that you see a lot of people at because of that stigma, because of the stigma associated with it. So even if we do have those mental health events or, something to help the community, it's always a concern about who is going to see me here and what are they going to think. So we just really have to work on lifting the stigma and getting help, just like you said with cancer and the other ailments.
Yeah, and we got to, and it's not, not to look down on no one. It's not to belittle no one. It's all about being a help to one another. The Bible speaks about love. Love your neighbors, you love yourself. Love. Patience come in too when you're dealing with someone who has mental illness.
Oh, yes.
Patience, long suffering, all that stuff plays a role. But like you said, being there for them, walking with them through this time, this critical time in their lives. And my next question is, have you always been passionate about being in the mental health field?
Oh, definitely. Yes. I have known since I was about 10 years old that I wanted to work in this field, that I was truly purposed for, mental health work. I was a very outgoing, joyful type of child, and I can remember having a difficult time processing my own emotions when I ran into people who were not that way towards me. It's different when you're a kid and you're so innocent and you just want to love everybody and be nice, and unfortunately everyone is not that way. And I had a really hard time growing up trying to process why people would be rude or mean or just treat you bad or anything of that sort. So as a young child, I can remember thinking to myself, if I myself am having difficulty doing this and figuring this out, how are other people who are dealing with more intense struggles doing this? And, by more intense struggles, I mean people that are like being emotionally or physically abused, children who live in a home with difficult family structures or, difficult family interactions, children who didn't have basic necessities. I just knew that I wanted to help those people, and so I started researching. I'm a PK, so my parents are pastors, and every time we would visit a church, they would always call my sisters and I to the front. Oh, what do you want to be? And I was like, I'm so tired of them asking me this. I know I want to help people. Let me figure it out. So
Hmm.
at 10, I went and I researched, and I looked at the differences between being a psychotherapist, a psychologist, and a psychiatrist, and I made a decision that psychotherapy was for me. And it's honestly a dream come true for me to be working directly in this field, having my own business in this field, for something that I've always been so passionate towards and something that I know that I'm purposed for.
And that's a blessing right there. We know the Bible said your gift will make room for you and bring
Yes,
forth great men.
yes.
And you just utilizing your gift that He had birthed within you since the beginning of time.
Mhm.
Like He told
Yes.
Jeremiah, I knew you are from your mother's womb. So He already knew you was gonna do that anyway before you were formed your mother's womb. So that's what's up right there.
Mhm.
And I know my next question. I know I looked at your page and you have a retreat coming up for women. It's a
Yes.
therapeutic retreat. And I see the site when I watch the video. I see the excitement. I see the confidence that you have about this adventure. So explain to the listeners about this retreat, when it's going to start, and if they're available, how can they register if it's still registration going on?
Oh yeah, registration is actively going on for sure, and I am. Thank you for watching my video on my page, and I am. I'm really excited, like I'm cheesing right now because of how excited I am about this 3-day therapeutic retreat. And it's for women specifically. I know that we probably need something for everybody, but I wanted to focus on women because we tend to pour so much into other people, that we need to figure out how to pour into ourselves. So it's going to be May 1st through May 3rd. It's going to be in Panama City Beach, Florida. Um, it is it is going to focus on not only relaxation of like your mind, your body, your soul, but we're also focusing on restoration of your mind. So we're going to attack cognitive distortions. And for people who don't really know what that means, that basically means like the doubt, the self-doubt, the unbelief, the fear, the anxiety, the worry, the things that negatively process through your mind on a continuous basis. We're showing people how to attack that and how to take control of their subconscious, because our subconscious is feeding into us every day. And if we are not telling our subconscious what to think, we're not in control of our destiny. We're not in control of our lives on a day-to-day basis. And, we're also going to focus on the true meaning of self-care, because some people think self-care is, getting massages and, reading a book, laying in a bubble bath, and those things are great. But self-care is really what you're saying to yourself, how you're treating yourself, what you are thinking on a continuous basis, how you're taking care of yourself. So registration is open. We have ticket prices starting at $300, and it is an all-inclusive retreat. That means that you get help from licensed professionals. We have sessions from myself and a few of my other colleagues. We have massages and yoga that includes your food, your beverages, all of the events, and of course your housing. We're going to be staying in condos right on the beach, not in hotels. I'm pretty excited about that. And they can go to this website to register. It's going to be www.restorationretreat.org. They can also go to my business website, which is www.thesunshineshaven.com, and just click on events, and they can register there as well.
And it sounds fun and it sounds relaxing and what you're doing. And $300 is not bad at all. I mean, that's very, very reasonable price because
yes,
then if you do a cruise and stuff, cruise like what, $500, but $300
yes,
is not
it
bad.
is. Yeah, and I wanted to make sure that I made it cost effective. You know, people who go to therapy know that they can have one session with a therapist like myself, and it can be anywhere from $100 to $150 just for that 1 hour. So I wanted to make sure it was really cost effective. It starts at $300. That's the cost of the retreat alone. And then with housing, I think the prices are like $530 and $610 and things like that. So it's really cheap for what we are offering. But I wanted to make sure everybody could, afford to come, and if they can't pay at one time, we also have payment plans, and payment plans are as low as $100 or $176 that they'll pay in increments of 3 times.
Okay. And actually, this is the first one, or how many is it actually the first one, or you have done some in the past recently?
Yes. So I have done events and one-day retreats in the past, but this is the first 3-day therapeutic retreat, which is why I'm so excited. I've had some great success at my events that were, just a couple of hours or even just that one day, but for us to be taking an entire weekend to focus on ourselves and our mental health is truly necessary and exciting. So they'll be coming to the very first inaugural event, and, we're going to continue to do it every single year.
And that's what's up right there. And that's an awesome thing that you're doing, giving back to the community, giving back to those that's in that, arena, that condition of mind of dealing with mental health. And I know everybody cannot do it. I know it takes a special person to do what you're doing with the heart that you have. And I know God chose the right person to do that, and just keep doing what you're doing to make a difference. I know you stay, that your passion is help clients create positive change in their everyday lives, and that's a good thing to do.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that. I really do. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Like I said, I appreciate you for what you're doing. Like I said, it takes a special group of people to do what you're doing, because everybody don't have the heart, everybody don't have the passion to do what you're doing. But it takes, with the intense study, the grind that you're doing, the sacrifice you're doing to make things better for the next person, and that's a beautiful thing, because like I said, everybody don't have the heart for that.
Right. You're right. That's true.
And my next question is, and I ask this to my guests all the time, Proverbs speaks about a good name. Proverbs says a good name is better than riches. So at the end of the day, what do you want your legacy to be?
And I'll say that you are, I think, the very first person to ever ask me that. I've been asked the other questions before. So that's something really important and something that we should all truly think about. That's a big question. When I think about legacy, I think about what's left after you are physically gone, like what you leave for your family, the world, those closest to you. And when I think about it in that way, I want my legacy to be what I do day in and day out, and that's helping other people. I don't necessarily want to be remembered for how much I accomplished, all of my degrees, or, what I did to better myself. But what I want to be remembered for is, how I helped my family, how I helped my friends, how I helped my community, and at some point, the entire world as a whole. I have created a few businesses, I've created a platform, and essentially a legacy that, like I said, will be here even when I'm no longer here, and that's big, that's huge. So that's what truly matters. My work, my passion, my love, my respect, my care and concern for all people, to continue positively impacting others, and just to help them bring about positive change in their lives every single day.
And that's what it's all about. And I know you mentioned something earlier. You was talking about the subconscious mind and taking control.
Mhm.
Enlighten us on that because I'm a firm believer that we can take control of our lives. That I do
Mhm.
believe that. I do believe that the subconscious mind is something. Matter of fact, I got a book on that that I haven't read yet. Talking about the power of our subconscious mind.
Yes.
'Cause I know a lot of times people blame the devil for everything. I don't blame the
Mhm.
devil for everything. The Bible says we do things out of our
Yes.
ignorance. So
Mhm.
enlighten the listeners on what you said earlier about taking control. Because some people may not. How can I take control and this and that? But explain to the
Right.
listeners about taking self control.
Okay. So basically, your conscious is what you are thinking intentionally. That's, oh, I'm waking up this morning, I'm putting this on to wear, I have this to do at work, I'm going to eat this. It's intentional thought. It's the forefront of your mind. Your subconscious kind of plays the back part. So it's not intentional. It is based off of what you feed yourself, right? So this goes back to the physical and mental health. We focus so much on what we feed our bodies. Like we try to be healthy even if we're not eating something healthy. We look at calories, we look at the sugar intake, the carbs, to make sure that we are at least taking in like good vitamins and good food to feed our bodies. The subconscious is essentially the same. It's like the organ of your mind that matters the most. And so whatever you are feeding your subconscious is what bleeds out into your conscious. So that's what you're listening to, what you're watching, what you are talking about with other people, what you were thinking, what you were telling yourself. Your subconscious determines what your conscious does. So for someone who is consistently telling them things, telling themselves negative things. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm so ugly. I'm never going to amount to anything. I'm this and I'm that. They literally start believing that, and the subconscious feeds it into their conscious, and so that's their reality. That's what happens. So if we can truly learn how to control our subconscious, we can essentially control our reality. Of course, we have God who takes care of us and things of that sort. But like you said, people make their own decisions. People still have free will, and that's what the subconscious is. So I tell my clients often, one of the things I ask them when they are dealing with cognitive distortions is, do you tell yourself what to think? And a lot of times they're like, no, what are you talking about? I don't even know what that means. Or I'll ask them, do you think you have control over your mind? Are you able to control what you choose to say, what you choose to think? And a lot of times they say no. And so that's the importance of the subconscious. Once you start telling your mind what to think, you create a reality for yourself. I mean, think about me as a little 10-year-old. I could have told myself, oh no, you're never going to have your own therapy business, right? But that's not the type of things I told myself. And look here, the reality is actually here. Of course it came with hard work, but hard work wants to come after your subconscious tells your conscious mind to go ahead and do it. So the subconscious is really the very most important thing when it comes to our mental health. It's almost the same as the heart as far as physical health. So I did see you post that picture of that book. That's a great book, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. And it essentially tells us how to start controlling our minds. It's through redirection. So if someone always has negative thoughts, they're going to redirect those negative thoughts to more positive ones. And not necessarily positive affirmations, just believing in yourself more and telling yourself what it should be saying instead of just letting it run rampant.
And I agree, cause I said, what I'm doing now, like I said, getting books like that, just
Mhm.
recreating a whole new environment, a whole new setting. As you progress forward and getting better each day, and that's one of my targets to get better each day, spiritually, mentally, physically, and things like that. And it starts with my mind. It starts with the mindset. So I have to constantly retransform my mind, like the Bible says. Do not
Mhm.
be conformed to this world, but we be renewed by the renewing of our mind. I'm paraphrasing,
Mhm.
but it talks
Yep.
about the mind a lot. Meditation is good, and that's another
Yes.
thing. When it comes to the faith base, they think meditation is evil, but it's not evil. Meditation
That's
is
true.
right. But when you hear meditation, it think you some type of witchcraft or devil worship. No, but meditation is good.
Right.
Um, a meditation. Explain to the listeners how to break down meditation. 'Cause some probably don't know how to meditate, but with your
Yeah, it's
field,
hard.
so how
Yeah,
would
it,
you
it can
instruct?
be hard. So, just to piggyback off of what you said, it's definitely not easy. The very first time I ever meditated, I was in church. My bishop was talking about the subconscious mind, and this was while I was actually in school for my counseling degree, and he had us meditate, and that is the very first place that I actually meditated, and it kind of changed my perspective even the more outside of even being in school. Meditation is not evil. The only way that meditation can be evil is if you choose to have evil thoughts in your subconscious and your conscious mind. Meditation really is just introspection. It looks within ourselves to bring about more positive things outside of ourselves. And a lot of people do not like to do introspection because that brings out all of their flaws and things that they need to improve and work on. So people like to stay busy. People like to always be talking and shaking and moving so that they don't have to introspect to fix or correct or better those things that they need help with. So meditation, I say meditation is hard because if you've never done it before, your mind is literally going to go everywhere. Like if I was to tell someone, "Oh, meditate for 5 minutes, just close your eyes and think about something," they are going to think about world peace. They're going to think about what they're doing tomorrow. It's literally going to go everywhere. So for people who are not accustomed to meditation, there are two things you can do. You can either do guided meditation, which means that you go to Google or go on YouTube and look up guided meditation to have someone talk to you and tell you exactly what to do. So they'll say, sit down, close your eyes, think about something that brings you joy, or think about something that brings you peace. That's going to be guided meditation, and it guides you into learning how to think positively while you're meditating. Or you can have unguided meditation where you just choose what you want to focus on and think about that. So, for example, if I want to meditate after we finish this interview, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to think about positive aspects to what's going to happen at my 3-day therapeutic retreat. And that's what I'm meditating on. And I'm only going to bring forth positive thoughts about it so that I'm forming my subconscious mind to think in a more positive way. Another important thing to know if you are doing meditation for the very first time is that you're going to be distracted. Like, you're going to hear the noises you never hear, or you're going to think about what you had for lunch last week and that you want to have it again. What you want to do is say, okay, in your mind, identify that that's a distraction and get right back to the positive thought that you're doing for meditation. And it has great benefits. Like I said, it allows us to see ourselves and kind of self-actualize. And once you're able to self-actualize, you're able to accept who you are as far as like your strengths and the positive things about yourself, but then you're also able to acknowledge those areas of weakness that you need to improve. And once you acknowledge it, you start working on it so that you can become a better person.
And I agree because that's why I look at it. So I totally agree 100% what you're saying. And I know that you heard the old saying, you can do anything you want when you put your mind to it.
Right.
And I never understood that when people just say that, you can do anything, you put your mind to it. So so you just let us know that the mind is very powerful in how we use it, whether it's negative or positive that I can say.
Yep, it is. It is, and if we take it back biblically, where it tells us that there's power in the tongue, and we're always like, oh, your words are powerful. Well, the Bible tells us that if we think it, it's already happened, right? So
Right.
if you go back to what I am thinking is just as important to my words have power, then you're going to start switching your thought process when you think of it that way.
And that's true because the Bible speaks about vision also. It's about a vision of people
Mhm.
affairs. A lot of
Mhm.
time. It's a book that I read a while back. It's called Think and Grow Rich. But it
Yes.
was geared towards the black community. And in the book,
Mhm.
it said the person will always say that I would never have anything because of their background and things like that. But the writer was explaining that reason why people would say that because they don't have no vision for their lives. They don't have no
Right.
direction on where they want to go. So they would
Mhm.
say things, well, I never have anything 'cause my parents never had anything. So when someone say that, they let you know that hey, they don't have no vision, no direction on where they want to go with their lives. So they just rather just give up and settle and say, hey, it is what it is.
Right, right. Yep, and that's a really good book. I've read that one. I might need to read it again. It's been a few years. But yeah, vision is very important, and a lot of times we can't make decisions and have vision and speak these things into our lives if we're not taking care of ourselves mentally. So that's really important.
And it is. And like I said, I'm glad you're on here this evening to talk about it and enlighten us. Also within the mental health field, just add another quick. Do y'all work
Mhm.
within the court system as well when it comes to mental health? Do you have any?
I have, yeah. So it really depends. I have worked in the court system both with adult and with adolescents. So for about a year, I was going to Strickland Youth Center, and I was providing therapy to the girls and the crisis center. Um, so those things are not necessarily court ordered. It's just something to assist the adolescents that are in the Strickland Youth Center. As far as working with adults, I have had, clients who have been court ordered to anger management or parenting classes due to divorce and things of that sort. So yeah, a lot of times it can be court ordered for them to get mental health treatment. Other times people honestly just seek it out for themselves because they know it will be beneficial to whatever, case they are working through. In a sense. So yeah, it's not necessarily directly related to, like them being arrested or jail time, but oftentimes depending on the judge, they will court order them to, like anger management classes or things of that sort.
Okay then, and that's what's up right there. And I know we got to great get out the airways, and I know you had a busy day. I know you're still doing things. I thank you once again for taking time out to busy schedule. So, for those that's listening to Impact Voice this evening, do you have any final remarks for the listeners?
Yeah, I will just urge and encourage, your listeners to, like I said before, take their mental health the same way that they look at their physical health. I honestly believe that therapy is important and anyone can benefit from therapy regardless of if they actually have a mental health diagnosis. And what you should also know is that therapists who are licensed, who are professional like myself, they have to go through therapy before they even provide therapy themselves. Even if it's just to figure out things that's going on, to have an unbiased, non-judgmental person to help guide you. So in order to create that positive change in your everyday life, pay attention to your subconscious, what you're feeding your mind, and what you're thinking.
And that's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Those that tune in, and like I said, I thank you. It's Afiya, right? Afiya.
It's
That's
Sophia.
the
Yep, you got it right. Thank you.
I
It's
appreciate it.
Swahili. Yeah.
Okay. And what's the mean? You said Swahili. What's the
Yep.
You said Swahili. What's the meaning of
Mhm.
Afiya? They said Swahili.
It it means good health. It's so funny. Yeah, it means good health. And so I think that, like you said, I'm purpose for mental health, and so apparently my parents knew it as well when they named me Afiya.
Awesome. And like I say, I thank you once again for taking time out to be scared to be on here on Walking This Way, Impact Voice, and just enlighten us to bring important information to the mental health field and
Of
things
course.
like that. I do appreciate you once again here on being on Impact Voice.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it. I appreciate you.
And I appreciate you too as well. And also those who missed it live, the replay will be up, of course. So you go back, check it out. You may miss some, you go back and hear it again, like, oh, I looked at it different, I missed it this way. But the replay will be up, of course, this evening. Impact Voice will be back tomorrow night at 9:00. We're gonna be talking about relationships. My co-host makes her debut with me tomorrow, so we're gonna be talking about relationships, one-on-one. We're gonna be talking about things that people deal with. We also want to lighten and bring healthy solutions to something that can be very negative. We want to bring something positive to it, things that we can better in when it comes to relationships, whether you're just single and you're looking to be in a relationship, but we want to be able to do things better when it comes to a relationship with the man and woman. So that's going to be tomorrow night at 9:00 Central, 10 p.m. East Coast time. So join us, be with us. I know my guest Latoya been posting on her page. If you have any questions or things like that you want to talk about here on Impact Voice, be freely to get with her, and we'll be glad to talk about them on the broadcast tomorrow night. And once again, Afiya, thank you once again for taking time out your busy schedule to be a part of Impact Voice. And and never be a stranger to Impact Voice. You're welcome to be a guest anytime here on Impact Voice.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. And we about to get ready to close it out. I know it's Friday. I know everybody wants to go out. It's Friday night. The restaurants are packed. The movie's jumping. I think everybody's having a good time. So everybody have a good time this evening. Enjoy your loved ones. Enjoy your family. But most important, enjoy yourself also. Have a great evening. Enjoy yourself. Set your goals. Master the things of life. And remember, make an impact on someone else. Most important, on your life, also make an impact on someone else's life in a positive way. I'll see you tomorrow night at 9 p.m. here on Walking This Way, Impact Voice. Have a blessed night, everybody.
You are now listening to the most talked about blog talk radio station in the universe. Walking His Way, Impact Voice Radio. Be prepared to have your mind stimulated, your spirit elevated in ways you couldn't even imagine. Introducing your host and the mastermind behind this unforgettable experience, Furman Jackson.